It is the Fix California Hour on the John Phillips Show. Johnny's back on Monday. It's Randy Wang here, and the phone number to join us is 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and search for the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. I just hit publish on the 12 o'clock hour. Sacramento routinely ignores advice from its own audits, where we played that great report from Julie Watts of CBS California. And as I have mentioned, we are lucky in California that we have some incredible, really strong female journalists. We got Julie Watts. We've got Ashley Zavala. And another one of my favorites is on the line with us right now. She is the anchor at Fox 11, Marla Tellez. Welcome back to the John Phillips Show.
Oh, Randy, you flatter me way too much. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Marla, before we get started, I got to tell you, we just played Matthew Seedorf's piece from MacArthur Park, and this week he was at MacArthur Park, but he had to move the live shot because it was dangerous. Last week he was at the mosquito infestation from El Segundo, and the week before he was in those underground tunnels. Does Seedorf get hazard pay?
He should. Seedorf deserves a raise. If there's any employee who deserves a raise, it is Seedorf. He is such an incredible reporter, intrepid. He pitches these stories every single day. He comes with a new story idea, and I love to see the other stations have to chase the story after the fact. If Seedorf's been there, he's first.
I love that he's pitching the stories. That's fantastic. He's willingly putting himself into fire.
He really is, and he knows that too. I mean, he's willing to go get bit by mosquitoes. I don't think he may have had a bite or two by the end of the night, because I asked him, are you itching? He said, I think it's in my head at this point. Hazard pay. You also forgot the story that he did last week about the prostitution that's going on in Larchmont, in the neighborhood there, an upscale neighborhood, and people openly having sex outside people's homes, on benches, on the sidewalk, etc. And LAPD basically doesn't have the resources to handle it. Did you see that one?
Oh, we played it on the show. In fact, I was on my morning walk. You know what I do? I load up my phone with all the YouTube stuff from Fox 11 and all the other stations that I listen to up and down the state of California. And I'm on my walk in my neighborhood with my dogs, and I almost choked up. I was so shocked from what I was hearing, because it was rather explicit what was going on in Larchmont.
Really? No, it's terrible. And he had to call into the newsroom that day because of the paraphernalia, if you will, that he was finding literally on someone's lawn. Do we have to blur this and edit? Is this appropriate? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So I do know Seedorf personally. You should have him on the show sometime. I'll give you his contact information.
We definitely got to do that, because he is a rising star in the journalism world of Los Angeles. Now, Marla, one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on the show, outside of the fact that you're the best, is that a few weeks ago we celebrated the horrific one-year anniversary of the Palisades and Eaton fires. And on the one-year anniversary, you had an incredible piece where you talked to a homeowner who lost pretty much everything in Altadena, that has been going through a nightmare with their insurance company. Can you tell us about that experience?
Absolutely. And this is such an important topic, because in our digging for this story, we didn't have to dig very far, because people came to us left and right, upset that they could not reap any of the benefits of being a policyholder for, in particular, that we looked at was State Farm. State Farm is the largest insurer in California, and in the Eaton and Palisades fire zones, it has 13,500 clients, consumers who have been affected, who lost their homes, or even if their home wasn't completely burned down, like the woman I talked to, it may have well been because it has so much smoke inhalation and it's just 100% toxic that they have to gut it, remediate it, and then rebuild. So for all intents and purposes, it's gone. And she has not been in this home since January 6th of 2025. Now, when I said that people were coming to us left and right complaining about the denials and the delays that they were getting from State Farm, only one, and that's the woman I'm referring to in Altadena, would go on the record or go on camera. They went on the record, but she was the only one who would go on camera because the others were afraid of retaliation. So we spoke to 6 homeowners who either lost their home or, in her case, it's still standing but needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. And they all said they all had the very similar story. I spoke to a public adjuster as well. Despite being dependable, reliable clients of State Farm, they have not been paid a penny. At least they hadn't been paid a penny. They've been out of their home. They've been renting and still paying on their premium, by the way, since January 6th of 2025, the last night they stayed in their home. And they were just getting the runaround, not getting any checks, not getting any financial help. Well, it caught the attention of LA County, and the county council then filed an investigation announced an investigation into State Farm because they were hearing from so many consumers of the same problem, having the same problem. So the county announced an investigation into State Farm explicitly in early November. And then, as timing would have it, big checks started to arrive. We're talking $70,000, $100,000, a couple $1 million. People started to get paid. Not entirely, but at least the funds started to trickle in. And that was the case for the woman who went on camera with me, Alyssa Jacobs Nixon in Altadena. After that investigation was launched and it was made public, she did receive some checks. Is this making her whole? No way. Not even close to what they're owed, but it is a start. Now, of course, I reached out to State Farm multiple times trying to get them to do an interview. They refused to do an on-camera interview. They declined. They instead referred me to their website where they had a posted statement that I used in my reporting that basically says that we take every claim seriously. We look at every claim individually, and we're working on those claims. They say that the county investigation has nothing to do with why the checks started rolling in when they did. You can make that decision on your own, what you think really happens or how this is being handled. Nonetheless, the county council tells me that State Farm is cooperating with their investigation and submitting the documents they've requested. How far that cooperation will go, yet to be determined because the investigation is ongoing. So out of all of this, State Farm is being, we're shining the light on State Farm. Some people are now getting their claims paid attention to, not entirely made whole, but we're staying on top of it and trying to get people the money that they're owed.
Well, and what's got to be so much more painful for the victims, and these weren't the ones that were dropped by State Farm before the fire. That's a whole other story. But this is the ones
That's a whole other story.
They had existing contracts, and they've been fighting with adjusters after adjusters, delay tactics, constantly changing adjusters. And all while that was happening, what was State Farm doing? They were negotiating a rate hike with our state insurance commissioner.
Yes. You and I'm so glad you brought up the insurance adjuster too, because in my piece, which by the way you can find it online at foxla.com, it's there. I did speak to an insurance adjuster who has multiple victims in the fire zones, and he's been doing this for 30 years, and he has dealt with wildfire victims plenty of times, big fires too. This isn't his first rodeo. We know that this was an historic case. Nonetheless, he says that he has not seen these such delays and denials and tactics that he is seeing right now ever in the 30 years that he's been doing this. So it's been really difficult for him as well as an adjuster. And it's literally for somebody like Alyssa Jacobs Nixon, whose house is still standing, and I saw pictures of it. We weren't allowed to go in it because of the toxicity, hence why it needs to be completely gutted and rebuilt. with the furniture that's completely covered in soot and smoke damage, you can imagine what it looks like inside. I mean, you literally have to put every single item in your house and according to them and the documents that we've seen, then State Farm comes back and questions, well, what about this item? What about this item? And that's why they cannot come to an agreement of, rather than, I asked her, would it have been easier perhaps if your whole house had burned down? And, you know, obviously you don't know what would be easier, but she said it's just like nickel and diming and, you know, nitpicking with a fine-tooth comb. And these people, they don't deserve that. Again, she has not been in her home since January 6th of 2025, and she's renting, she's paying rent, still paying her policy. And they've been State Farm policyholders for more than 20 years and never even filed a claim, never filed one claim. And this is how they're being treated.
And it's happened to so many different people, not just in Altadena, but obviously in the Palisades as well. And again, while this all happened, they got an emergency rate hike, immediately asked for another rate hike, have not committed to writing any other policies. And before this, had years and years and years of dropping people who were paying them for 20, 30 years for no reason outside of they realized that they could cut a deal with the insurance commissioner to get even more money down the line. And you're right. As a lot of homeowners have said, it's almost easier to deal with State Farm or the Fair Plan if your house burned down. But for some reason, smoke damage, they're trying every tactic possible to delay and to make these people's lives even more difficult.
And to that point, we did, of course, reach out to Ricardo Lara's office, the insurance commissioner, because we wanted to get him on camera, sit down with him, and our interview requests were also denied. So while we did try, you know, it's pretty amazing when you think about the level of heartache that thousands of people have endured, and to not go on camera, that just speaks for itself. That's as a journalist, that's if you don't go on camera, you know, it allows the viewers, the audience, to come to their own conclusions. Then, if you're not willing to face the fire, and these aren't, quote, tough questions. What happened? Why is this happening? I mean, those are the obvious questions. What do you tell people who have paid into their policies for decades without one claim, and now they need their money that they're owed? I mean, that was an actual soundbite that Alyssa Jacobs Nixon said to me. Said, she said that I feel that they're just trying to break us down where we just give up. And she said, I'm not going to give up. You know, we have been wonderful customers to State Farm for this many years. And I always thought that and I'm speaking on her behalf because this is what she said to me. I always thought because I paid my policy on time, year after year, month after month, that if I needed it, it would be there for me. And that has not been the case.
It has not. We're speaking with Marla Tellez. She's the anchor at Fox 11 at 6 o'clock, 8 to 10, and Good Night LA. Of course, 6 o'clock is probably the best place in Southern California for local news and politics. And we're adding to all of this moderator, because Marla, you're going to be moderating a gubernatorial debate next week. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so 1 week from today, in fact, February 3rd, I'm going to be up in San Francisco. So it's essentially it'll be broadcast statewide. It's taking place in San Francisco. We are teaming up with our sister station up in the Bay Area, KTVU, and also a co-host of the debate is the Black Action Alliance. And we have on the docket, who will be on stage that night, we have current State Superintendent Tony Thurmond. We have former LA Mayor and Assembly Member Antonio Villaraigosa. We have philanthropist and billionaire Tom Steyer. We have former California Controller Betty Yee. We have Congressman Eric Swalwell and Republican Steve Hilton. A lot of people have asked, what about Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff, of course. He, unfortunately, has a prior engagement and cannot make it that night. So that is why he will not be there. This is, as mentioned, next Tuesday, February 3rd, broadcast in the Bay Area, broadcast on Fox 11. And even if you are listening and you are not in our viewing area, you're not in California and you're interested in California politics, we want you to download the Fox Local app. Sorry, Randy, I got to get this in there.
Hey, get your plugs in, Marla.
App.
Get them in.
Well, come on now. And everything's streamed, right? So it'll be streamed, of course, live on the Fox Local app. So you can find it there. And if you have a question, that's the other thing we've been doing. You can go to our website, foxla.com. You can submit questions that you want answered that night, 1 week from today. We have, Randy, it's amazing. Our viewers and your listeners are smart and brilliant, and they have submitted, I mean, we've the moderators, I'm one of three, we have just been sifting through hundreds of questions and a lot of really great, in-depth, well thought out questions. Of course, we will talk about accountability when it comes to something like what we just talked about with the insurance commissioner. We'll talk about affordability in the state. We'll talk about out-migration. Hence, a lot of people are saying, I can't live here anymore. It's just too expensive. What do these candidates plan to do about that? We'll talk about immigration enforcement, obviously, the big headlines. Homelessness and accountability. How will they tackle that? So all of that is coming 1 week from today in San Francisco and broadcast statewide.
It's going to be on Fox 11. It's going to be on KTVU, and you can get the Fox Local app, and I'm sure it'll be streamed live on both the Fox 11 and KTVU YouTube channels where I get everything. Marla, I got to imagine a bunch of our audience are going to start emailing one specific question. Where's Katie Porter?
Get out of my shop.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding me on that. Apparently, she is. I got to check my facts on this. As far as I understood, and so I don't want to say don't quote me on this, but don't quote me on this. She was on board, and that's initially, and then something came up, and she had to back out. So, as much as I wish that I do. I wish she was on stage. I wish we had all of the big names on stage, but unfortunately, just the timing didn't work out.
Well, we'll be watching next Tuesday, and of course, we'll be watching tonight as you anchor the news every single night so masterfully on Fox 11 in Los Angeles, foxla.com, the Fox Local app, and as I do it, just subscribe to Fox 11 on YouTube. It is a great resource. I also just posted on my social media the story that Marla and I just talked about. Marla Tellez, it is
great.
Such a pleasure to always talk to you. You are the best.
Thank you so much, Randy. Is it too late to say Happy New Year? We're still in January. It counts, right?
Happy Lunar New Year. It's coming right around the corner.
That's right. And thanks to all your listeners, too. They're always so great to me.
Thanks so much, Marla. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
And how exciting is this? A week from Friday is our next live event. 2 in a row in just the first couple of weeks of the year. This is great. Let's have one every month. I mean, we need a venue and a sponsor every month, but we can do that. Come on. Reach out to us. But check this out. Join us for a live broadcast at Gladstone's in Long Beach, Friday, February 6th from noon to 3. We're heading to Gladstone's in Long Beach for our next live broadcast, and you're invited. Come enjoy great food, good vibes, and a fun afternoon by the water. We'll have a lot of special guests, including Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. She'll tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13 as the courts have made it easier to raise your taxes. Come by and sign the petition to save Prop 13. The deadline is coming fast. Susan has until February 17th to collect every signature possible. So if you've already filled out the petition, you've got until the 17th of February to get 10 friends to do it as well. We get enough people to sign this thing, it can be on the ballot, and we can stop having judges say that you can raise taxes by a simple majority and bring it back to a 2/3 majority. It's Randy Wang here. The phone number to join us, 800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. This state has a housing shortage is something that you've heard over and over and over and over again. Although, interestingly enough, we talked to our friend Sue Pascoe from the Palisades News, who did point out the interesting thought experiment. Overnight in the wildfires, thousands of people lost their homes, and they were all immediately able to find a place to live or a place to stay. Just an interesting thought experiment. But it is very expensive to live here. One of the things that we hear over and over again is we've got to build more, we've got to build more, we've got to build more. But instead of, I don't know, building new cities or building new counties or expanding into the vast empty space that we have in this state, we need to continue to build on top of each other in the cities that exist. And some of the locals don't care for that, including in San Jose. For more, here's a report from KPIX in the Bay.
San Jose's skyline is also changing. Neighborhoods mostly made up of 1- and 2-story buildings are now seeing plans for more multi-story apartment complexes. San Jose will have to build more than 62,000 homes in the next 5 years. And in some cases, developments have been able to bypass some rules to meet those state housing goals. But
yes, here's the thing that's happened, and this was true before SB 79, but now it's accelerated. Local zoning does not matter anymore. The state is in charge of all of it, and unfortunately, we're just going to have to deal with that.
But as Len Ramirez shows us, not everyone's happy about the transformation.
Marin Cedarquist loves the Willow Glen neighborhood. She's lived here for years and now serves as president of the Willow Glen Neighborhood Association.
I've lived in Willow Glen for 33 years, raised my kids here. It's just a wonderful community.
But she's afraid of what's coming next to be looming over this stretch of Willow Street at Cotenberg, something entirely new, a 7-story apartment building just approved by the city.
7 stories next to one. This is the thing. Like, none of it matters anymore. And sure, you could make the simple argument that that looks really weird to have 1- and 2-story homes next to a 7-story building. Or you can think about, well, does this 7-story building accommodate for the extra traffic? Will it accommodate for parking? Probably not. Will it accommodate for sewage, for all the other things? Well, no, we don't think about that. We just got to keep building.
A 7-story apartment building just approved by the city, replacing this 1-story liquor store and adjacent fitness studio.
This is going to be 7 stories high. There's nothing visible even half that height.
And if you happen to have a backyard and you like to sunbathe, it probably is going to creep you out that somebody is either going to block your sunlight or someone 7 stories up has got binoculars out. You know, I used to work at a radio station where the program director of said radio station was on the 2nd floor of a busy street, Wilshire Boulevard, and he had binoculars on his desk so he could ogle the women walking up and down the street. Oh, what a different time to be in radio.
From this spot.
Marin says the building will bring traffic and parking problems to the streets that were never designed for it.
Housing benefits people. Putting 7 stories next to a single family home is not benefiting people. It needs to be, we need housing, but it needs to be done thoughtfully.
The project was approved under California's Builder's Remedy Law, which...
Okay, this is what happened. The city didn't say yes to this. The state overwrote the city in saying yes to this.
The project was approved under California's Builder's Remedy Law, which allows developers to bypass certain zoning and compatibility rules because San Jose failed to submit an approved housing element plan on time.
If you don't understand what any of that means, well, neither do I.
The bureaucracy is real.
We make this stuff so unbelievably confusing, but to break it down, the builder's remedy means that if the city doesn't oppose a project enough and focus so much on it, they can go up to Sacramento and say, no, we're building this regardless of if the neighborhood wants it or not. And because, you know, we're in the YIMBY agenda now.
And Willow Glen is far from alone. In East San Jose, neighbors along Alum Rock Avenue are watching 2 6-story buildings rise in what's also been a low-rise neighborhood.
And I just want to point out, I just want to know when the breaking point is. You know, we're hearing about a lot of buildings this large in San Jose. San Jose is the most expensive city to live in the country, possibly the world. We did you that story yesterday. So at what point do you build enough where that comes down? I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen it anywhere. San Diego loves to tout that they've built so much that the prices are flat. They're not coming down, they're flat. So if the rent is, to use the cliched phrase, too damn high, how much do you have to build where it actually goes down? Because I'll tell you, people point to Austin, Texas as an interesting example of this. A lot of people moved to Austin during COVID because, it was the land of the free. And demand was surging, and there was so much construction. And because it's Texas and it's very easy to build, a lot of stuff got built very quickly. The traffic in Austin went from bad to LA levels. And then after a couple of years, a few things happened. A lot of the businesses in San Francisco said you can't work remote anymore. You got to come back to the Bay. And people who were living in Austin for 2 or 3 summers said, I can't do this anymore. 100% humidity at 100 degrees is inhumane. And so they got out of there. And so rents are actually going down in Austin, but it's not so much that they built enough. It's that demand went way down. We're in areas where I don't know if the demand is ever going to go down, even though people are moving out, even though there are more people moving out of the state than moving in because of immigration. There will always be demand for the housing that we have. You'd also argue one of the reasons that single-family home prices keep staying high, and if you're in one, congratulations, is because we don't build those. We don't build simple 3 or 4 bedroom homes anymore. It's so expensive that we've got to build mini mansions or we've got to build these big HOA developments. And so the simple entry-level housing stock keeps going up in price because it's more and more scarce.
The project at Alum Rock and Cedar Lane, which is not a builder's remedy project and came through the normal planning process, will bring a mix of market rate and affordable housing.
Now, the term affordable housing means artificially subsidized housing. And another reason why it's so expensive to build is we have to put into the cost of every market rate unit all of the subsidized units. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, does it?
Manny Denna grew up in the neighborhood and is afraid of the changes that are sure to come.
You just can't put 2 massive buildings into a neighborhood like this and be able to support. And again, no parking,
That's the other thing. And this is something that the state has done, and San Diego's famous for it, but I guess it's happening in San Jose too. But we've eliminated parking minimums for this idea. Now, San Jose is a little different. The Bay Area is a little easier to get around without a car. I guess Caltrain it up, ETA. But Southern California, we're building all this housing without parking, and Metro doesn't go anywhere.
It's going to create some havoc.
San Jose, under state law, must build 62,000 housing units over 8 years.
And these were the state goals that Gavin Newsom put in when he first became governor, and they're enforcing the point where they sue. And Gavin will, anytime he gets asked about this, talk about how he sued Huntington Beach because they're not building enough housing. Huntington Beach, when you talk about the land space, is full. So the only way to build more housing is to destroy existing housing, which already means that we're cutting out older stock for more expensive new stock.
Land use consultant Eric Schoenauer says San Jose neighbors will continue to see larger apartment buildings, especially near transit, commercial corridors, and designated urban villages.
And yes, SB 79 is going to accelerate this because now anything that is near a major transit hub in the counties where this applies, which includes Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, the Bay Area counties, you can build up to 9 stories potentially if it's near a transit hub.
The only way to achieve the number of housing units we need is to go high density and taller.
Eric says
or expand. Why is that? I don't understand when there's so much empty space in so many different parts of the state. Some of it's farmland, but some of it's not. You drive up the 5 freeway, there's a whole lot of nothing. And even when they're trying to expand, getting those places online takes forever and ever and ever. Tejon Ranch, how long has that project been in development hell? This whole idea of California Forever, the brand new tech bro mecca. I mean, I understand that people in Solano County maybe don't want this, but ultimately, isn't there room in the state for another city, another county, another population center? Or do we have to keep overcrowding the ones that we already have?
Eric says 6 to 8 stories is a sweet spot that helps projects financially pencil out for builders and provide housing and jobs.
And that's the other thing. It's so expensive to build here, the developer has to go 7 stories or they can't make a profit. Or they have to do nonsensical things like put in a bowling alley so they can charge you $4,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. That's not made up. That's a real place in San Diego.
Don't you want your children and your grandchildren to be able to live in our city? And the only way that can happen is if we build more housing.
But we've heard that for 10 years. When does that actually happen?
Still, many residents say the issue isn't housing, it's where and how it's being built.
It's absolutely true that this would not be approved by the planners or city council.
As the housing crisis pushes development deeper into low-slung neighborhoods, residents are confronting a new reality, one where, at least for some projects, the old rules don't apply.
The Alum Rock project is scheduled to be completed next spring. Meantime, Willow Glen neighbors are planning to appeal the approval of that project.
Now, there is one tool that neighbors still have if they want to fight these projects that they don't want. And it's the tool that California simultaneously hates and defends every chance they can. And that is CEQA. And CEQA has been used in San Diego to stop a massive development called Midway Rising. For more, here's NBC7 in San Diego.
The years-long battle over the Midway Rising project has just gotten even longer. That's the city of San Diego's plan to redevelop that area around Sports Arena. It has faced multiple lawsuits, and now the California Supreme Court just delivered a major blow. NBC7's Shelby Bremer has been digging into the decision all day. She joins us live now from the Midway District with the latest here. Shelby.
Yeah, this is about the 30-foot height limit in this area. The city wanted to exempt this development, but now those legal challenges mean they're going to have to find another way.
Because this is one of the things that CEQA has been used for forever and ever and ever, is making development take as long as possible to make it to a point where the developer pulls out or the project gets canceled, because you can just sue and sue and sue. It's the private right of action.
This land is some of the most valuable land on the West Coast.
It's also at the center of a heated battle. For the better part of a decade, San Diego has explored the Midway Rising project to build a new entertainment venue, 4,200 homes, retail, parks, and more in the area around Pechanga Arena. The city wants to...
So this is redeveloping an existing site, and even doing that because of our CEQA laws and private right of action, even though it seems like a great idea and you could build all this housing, can't do it. Cannot do it because you can sue and sue and sue, and you wonder why these things take so long.
The city wants to build higher than the current 30-foot limit, and in 2020 asked voters who said yes. A group called Save Our Access sued under the California Environmental Quality Act, arguing the city didn't do a proper review of the project's impact.
That's a whole neighborhood being lifted up vertically.
It's a traffic Armageddon.
Well, there is that. We decide that we're going to build all these new developments, but we never accommodate for the fact that now there's going to be a whole lot more cars, because once again, it's this insane idea that everyone's going to get on transit. There are so many jobs where transit's not even a possibility. How do you do public transit if you're a gardener?
They won, so the city did another review and another ballot measure in 2022. Save Our Access sued again. And the appeals court ruled in October that the city did not assess how taller buildings might affect airflow, construction noise, or birds' ability to nest, among other issues.
No matter what you think about California's push towards building more density and building more housing, I think at this point we can all agree that CEQA is nonsense and is only used to be abused.
It kind of creates an impossible situation for cities if every time they do an environmental study, individual who is dissatisfied with the project can go to court.
Land use expert Chris Elmendorf says this has implications beyond San Diego. But California's Supreme Court last week declined to hear the city's appeal, leaving that height limit in place. Mayor Todd...
By the way, this is the other insane thing about this story, to defend the people that use CEQA. well, you can still build it, but you can't build it as tall. Nah, instead of building it, we're just going to keep fighting this in court for another 10 years. Like, nobody can just sit together and come to an agreement. There's never any buy-in from the neighborhoods.
Mayor Todd Gloria said in a statement, "This procedural decision does not change our commitment or our momentum," adding the city is actively pursuing options that will provide a clear and durable path forward. The city won't say what those options might be. Elmendorf says it could be new state legislation or using California's density bonus law to exempt the project based on its...
That's the thing that they use in San Diego to build a whole bunch of ADUs that count as apartment buildings with no parking for $3,000 apiece.
Based on its affordable housing.
So there's some legal risk that if you request the waiver, someone might sue.
Save Our Access says that's exactly what they'll do.
They can look to get around it, but they're going to have a lot of tripwires along the way.
It's going to take 50 years to get this thing off the ground, and they're still going to try.
So the governor and the attorney general actually sent a letter last month to the Supreme Court asking them to hear the city's appeal, basically so we can have more clarity on what can be evaluated under CEQA so that we can more quickly address the housing crisis. Live from the Midway District, Shelby Bremer, NBC7.
Thank you, Shelby.
So there you go. Two very different stories, but a similar theme, the nonsensical push and push back to build more housing in California. Let's go to Sue in Santa Monica. Sue, hello.
Hello. One thing, people are leaving California. We don't need more housing. Number two, this whole transit hub baloney is, for example, they're supposedly putting in a bus transit hub where Gladstone's was on Sunset and PCH. And if they do that, then they're going to claim they can build these high-rises around there because it's by a transit hub. So that's what they're going to use to try and put in all these, Miami-type skyrises that nobody wants. And this whole issue of parking, I've seen it in Venice over 20 years. They keep building. There's never any new parking. The summers are not fun. And Gavin started all this back when Trump ran the first time. I remember reading how he was already starting let's put a high-rise in Woodland Hills in this little suburban neighborhood. It's just all about the money.
And there's a lot of money to be made, especially from a lot of developers that have a lot of deep pockets. Thanks so much for the call, Sue. Appreciate it. Let's go to Rich in Newport Beach. Rich, hello.
Hey, Randy. I would give anything, and I mean anything, if when these people are being interviewed by the reporters about the high-density housing and almost any problem that's in California, I wish the reporter would just ask them, hey, who'd you vote for? Just once. Because they're all voting for the same idiots that keep doing this stuff, that keep ruining our lives.
Well, and we can see that by the majorities that we have in both houses of the legislature and the fact that it's been one-party rule here for nearly 15 years. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Robert in Santa Clara. Robert, hello.
He's right. The reflexive voting tendencies of these people, they're voting in every Delphi neutralizer technique and census builder. You're going to be called a NIMBY by every politician, even Matt Mahan is a nicer guy than Newsom, obviously, but they're all in with the Stack and Pack developer consortium. They all think that they're making good use of the land. Find out who these people are. Legacy developers, DevCon, Swenson, Irvine Properties, the whole regional governances that have all these unelected officials. They're all in on creating urban villages. They hire all these types of people from different ethnicities to bring in critical masses of people to occupy these, where they're homeless or they're working. They're going to cash in on every scenario. They've got guaranteed pay.
And it's the exact opposite of why a whole bunch of people wanted to move here. Thanks so much for the call.